This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. Hello, this is Deborah Johnson, and it's good to be here with you today with a subject, working efficiently with repurposing content. And who doesn't want to work more efficiently these days to save time, to save energy? It's a great subject, especially as we are going to be entering the holiday season, and we want to think about this even a little bit more. So before I get started, I have heard for so many years. In fact, I was recently at a party where I heard it again, where, when I share what I have done for so many years as a professional musician, I heard this phrase, I used to play and I wish I never quit. I would love to play again. I've heard that so many times that I started a program just for people like that and people that would like to learn as well, but called Learn Music Again. And it's learnmusicagain.com. You can go there very easily. And right now, the cart is open. You can join, and it's a great way to start getting back into your music. I suggest that you get some sort of guidance, which I provide in the VIP. You can do any level you want, or you can just get an online program, one of the online programs, and get access to that. But with the membership, you get a little bit more guidance. There's also some great free downloads on that page, so make sure you go there, learnmusicagain.com. I only open it up I think 3 times a year, maybe 4 times a year. So just to make sure, especially before holidays and before you're thinking about the new year, this is a good time to get going on stuff like that or anything like that, stuff like that. Music especially is a stress reliever. It's a great sort of way, a complete diversion. And I think many would enjoy that right now, especially after we've come through a pandemic and all that we've been dealing with our country and our personal lives with the isolation. So anyway, make sure you take advantage of that. So let's get to this subject. Working efficiently. And again, who doesn't want to create less work for themselves by working efficiently? And efficient, when we look it up online, it means the maximum productivity with a minimum wasted effort. And, there's times that I feel like I'm kind of spinning my wheels, like I don't know exactly where I'm going. And sometimes that's just think time and you just need that. But I'm going to relate this specifically to repurposing content, because if we are able to use our content more efficiently, we are going to be able to free up our time for other things, which has been one of my goals. So it's a goal for many, and you kind of want things to, run by themselves almost with a good system. So, and it takes on, this phrase of working efficiently takes on even a greater importance and emphasis when reinventing, restarting, and regrouping to create your ideal lifestyle and your ideal work. And I love to help people in that process to be able to do that. And I'm not an efficiency expert, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of my system, especially that I have learned and come to as an artist. And I used to think, I'm just not very organized. I'd like to get more organized. I don't have that organizational gene. But when I started looking at what I was actually accomplishing and doing, I started to realize, looking from a bird's eye view of this, that I'm extremely efficient and organized in my little system. So I just tried to put that together in a better organized fashion so I can share it. And it's really helped. It's starting to really help a lot of people. So I'm going to share a few of those secrets to you today. So with emphasis on content creation, which that is one of my emphasis as a thought leader, And as someone who's not just calling myself an expert, but somebody who is paving the way in maybe some new creative areas, repurposing the quality content that I have has been one of my goals to extend my reach, not only on social media, but also on email and other platforms. So the articles, the videos, the podcasts, and the posts, they all work hand in hand in working efficiently, as most of those can be repurposed. And I'll share a couple of my tips with you today. So, and here, I'm going to approach this from 3 different ways here. We're going to first approach why repurpose content. That's a good question. Why even bother? I mean, it's some work, extra work for ourselves. And then what is the lifespan of your content? That's a very interesting subject to approach, especially the lifespan on social media. And how to repurpose for future access of your valuable content. And I want you to start thinking of your content as valuable. Even if you are just kind of restarting or reinventing or maybe developing a side business, something that you it's been a dream of yours for a long time, your content is valuable. Don't discount it. When I look back at some of my content, I kind of laugh a little bit thinking, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? But really, people were reading it and getting help from it already. You need to realize that with your audience and with your little place in the world, that it is valuable, that you are influencing somebody and something. So realize that now that, your content is valuable and you want to be able to put that sort of stamp on it. So let's get to why. Why should we repurpose content first? Well, if you can create a good system to use your content in multiple places, this will be super helpful in alleviating the pressure of content churn. Now, what do I mean by content churn? It means like, I think of pastors in this way because I've been a music director and I've been involved in a number of different churches, is that, once Sunday's over and at the end, a Monday's coming and then another Sunday's coming. There's more content. And that's what we feel sometimes. This article is done. And now the next day, the next article needs to be coming out. It depends on how often you post and all of that. And I have some encouragement there too. But, it's time to do the next one. So there's that content churn and that sort of pressure. So what I'd like to do is alleviate a little bit of that pressure. And if you are planning ahead, it'll also enable you, if you repurpose content and you get a good system, it'll enable you to work remotely more often. And I do have a very good webinar on this. You want to make sure you find that as well. It's all on my goalsforyourlife.com website. And especially in my a new way of doing business.com, you can find that free webinar. So you will still need to write and create valuable content, but setting up your system that'll work for you will really ultimately free you up. I'm a big advocate, and I teach this in my courses, of always building on your own land first. This means that you will want to post on your own blog or newsletter, not just on social media. But most of that content can also be posted on a number of platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, others. You can always repost it. And a good reposting system is important because social media posts, they do have a very short lifespan. But again, it's worth doing if you have a good system that's not going to overwhelm you. So when we think of why repurpose content, is there's so much content out there, and we want to be able to use what we have in as many ways as possible. When you think of even a recipe, and sometimes when you're using a biscuit mix or something like that, I'm kind of winging it here with that because I'm not known, especially with my kids, in my kids' eyes, as a someone who spends a lot of time in the kitchen. But there are so many ways that you can use that sort of biscuit mix or some sort of a basic mix in many, many different ways. And so we're thinking about our content that way, that we could use it in multiple ways, and that if it doesn't communicate one way, maybe it'll communicate another way. And I'm always growing in this because I don't want to be overwhelmed in my own personal business. There are more ways I can repurpose. I know there are more ways, but I'm going to share what my present system is right now that is not overwhelming me, and that I'm able to keep up very, very consistently with it takes me time, but I'm able to keep it up and get ahead and to work remotely and to do some of the other things, like I'm writing a book and taking another course at the same time. But I have a system down, so that's what I want to share with you today. So that's why repurpose content. It will end up freeing you up. Now, what is the lifespan of content? Now, if your content is on your blog or website first, now remember, build on your own land first. This is your own land. You should own that. You shouldn't have to, if somebody changes the rules, the algorithms or whatever, and it could disappear in seconds. So don't rely just on that. You want to have content that will live there for as long as you keep it active. Now, one of the good things about putting your content maybe on your own blog or website is you can go back and edit that, and you can tweak it a little bit when you reread it. Now, I barely do this unless I'm going to put other links on some things, some backlinks that will go to other material of mine. I have done that. But, I'm not going back all the time and re-editing all of my articles. At some point, I'm re-editing some of them if I'm submitting them for publication or whatever. But it does live there. That is your property, and you can keep that active. Now, the challenge in this is getting people to visit your land or your business place of residence. It's almost like, you want to invite people over even to your home, but they live hours away. Are they going to ever come? Sometimes some people will come. Definitely. We have a lot of visitors, but it's the challenge of getting people to actually come to your website. So that's why we want to kind of let the world know in different ways. And no matter how many people end up, being able to visit there. So there's a lot of information about this online if you look. But I'm going to give you a couple of the statistics, some of the current statistics that I have found, that when posting on Facebook, there are over 2 billion active users. That's a lot of users, by the way. You can expect a 5-hour lifespan where it will receive about 3/4 of its engagements. So if you post something and it has, 10 people that have looked at it, that will occur within 5 hours, and then, it'll within 3/4 of it will be 5 hours. And then, so what's 3/4 of that? Somewhere around, 6 people or 7 people will have viewed it within that 5-hour span. And then after that would be the other 3 or 4 people. Now that's a very small, usually there are hundreds or thousands of people that will view a particular meme or a post, depending what you are posting on. But it's a very short time considering 5 hours. Now Twitter, I'm going to just go through 3 little areas here: Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And there are others. There's a lot of information online. You can go and do your own research on this. But Twitter has approximately 330 million active users, and less than Facebook, of course. But there are about 500 billion tweets made per day. How do you even cut through? My goodness. But Twitter has one of the shortest lifespan. That's why many people tweet a number of times a day with a 15 to 20 minute window. Now, if you say something that's going to go viral, of course, it will last longer than that. Also interesting that images have more click-throughs, and that works on all platforms, by the way. Images, that's why they're so important. Images and videos. LinkedIn has about 300 million active users, just a little less than Twitter. But over 80% of social media leads generated by the B2B marketers, they're made through LinkedIn. So, and most posts live about 24 hours. And what I suggest, I'll get this to in our next little section as well, but I suggest you not only have your blog articles posted on LinkedIn, so you're just sharing it, it'll go right back to your website, but also paste your content to create a LinkedIn article, which will stay archived on the platform and it can be easily searched. It is not hard to do. Cut, paste, you just come up with your section titles, you cut, paste, use the same pictures, everything you link back to your podcast, link back to videos, you just put your pictures on it, and it stays there on as the articles so people can look at the articles that you've actually written. So it's another place that people can actually see that you are actually active. And knowing how people read, which very few people actually read, but they'll read the headlines of the sections, basically. So, but they know that you're posting. They see the pictures. They see the posts. So it sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? But it's really, when you cut paste, it's not as much work. You get your routine down. Again, you can find most of this information online. But the point is, on social media, it doesn't last very long unless you have ways to repost it. And so realize that it's going to be short-lived, and don't discount it completely. But if you have it on your own land, you always have a way to repost. You can always go back and repost those articles at any time as well. And you can have your VA research those and do that. That's a very good idea, actually. And I am not doing that enough. That was a good idea for me to even share, because I think I will start doing that with my VA as well. So number 3, we will also already, boy, I'm getting mixed up on my words today. So sorry about that, but maybe I'm talking too fast. I've had my cappuccino this morning as I am producing this episode. Why repurpose content? That was our first. And then what is the lifespan of content? That was our second. And third, how to repurpose content for future access. And this is a good one. This is kind of down into what my system is presently. In fact, I'm always kind of working on my system to even make it more efficient. And, I want to travel more and get away with more. And I do work a lot. I love my work. But I have found that, it's really good for me to take breaks. It just clears my mind. And I want to give myself a chance to be able to do that, to totally take a break and to get away from just what I am putting, all together. So repurposing your content not only creates more value for the work that you've already done, but it also does aid you in working efficiently. And I'm going to share my process or system with you, but I really encourage you to create your own. I put that out there because it gives people more ideas. It's almost like writing a song that you play something, you go through something, you think, oh, that gives me a great idea. That's what I want you to do. I don't want you to just clone and do a cookie cutter. I want you to take the ideas and make it your own. That is true. I'll be truly successful in inspiring you to do that. And I hope you will do that. So I'll share my process or system with you, but, please take it up. I'd love you to make something that even works better and share it with me. I would love that. So my system has evolved through the years, but what I'm sharing at this time, it works best for my personal routine that I've done. And with a good system you can duplicate, your business will be scalable and it'll even be less work. And that's kind of an important term, is that scalable term, because then it will grow more organically. So that's important. We can't really force this. It's hard to force this. So anyway, when creating an article, this is my little process, okay? And it'll sound very simple to you. I first create it in Microsoft Word. I just write an article. So that sounds like, oh yeah, we do that. I do that. But you can use any editing program you want. But if you keep a folder on your hard drive or on the cloud, then you can write and rewrite. I'm a big proponent of rewriting. After writing the 4 books I have, actually I've written more than that, and I'm writing another. The rewriting process is a big part of it. And I do the same thing on articles, but then at some point I just leave them. You just have to, put them out there. But even if I don't have time to finish an article, it's helped me to document my ideas to come back later. So when I'm coming up with podcast episode ideas or article ideas, I'm documenting those. And I'm even putting them in I have a whole folder on my hard drive that is full of article ideas, separate documents that I'm putting together there. So I used to start with just an outline for my podcasts, my episodes, even that I'm putting out right now. But now, since I'm writing an accompanying article for each podcast, I decided to make a little less work for myself after I'm producing these episodes. So I write much of the article before even producing the episode. So I have a lot of this article that I will put out with this particular episode pretty much crafted. Now, I'm able to do a little improv around this as I'm going through my notes, but I want to be targeted in what I am giving you with my takeaways here. So that's why I've crafted a lot of the actual article, and then it'll be definitely tweaked for interviews, because I do one interview every single month. I have an outline created of some of the main talking points that we will speak on even before I do the interview. And then I write the article usually afterwards, after producing the episode, because I want to make sure I take advantage of the key points, especially if I mention the person and what their product is and what their emphasis is. But I really do take those detailed notes, and I'm able to put together a good outline. So, and when my husband and I are together once a month, I put together an outline, but we have so much fun because we can kind of improv on it together with the once a month episode that we do together. So again, I'm writing the full article afterwards, but I have a pretty good, at least an outline of where I'm going with that one. So, and he's big on improv, so I have to rein him in sometimes. But he's great. It's just so much fun. It's fun to do together. So, anyway. For every podcast episode, I started doing this to make my content churn a little less, because it felt like I was writing a separate article every week, a separate podcast, and it was too much. So now all of my episodes, once in a while, I will write a separate article. Like I have a separate article on music in homeschooling, a whole separate article. As this airs, I'm not sure that's out yet, but that's, some other ideas that I have to write, separate articles that'll come from even my DJ Works Music website. But most of my articles now will be written right around what my podcast episode is every single week, because it's really pertaining to us at the halftime of our lives and interesting topics. So, but for every single one, I write the article or a blog post. I release that article also, the first couple paragraphs, in my weekly newsletter. Make sure you're subscribed to that. You can go to my website anywhere and click that button. I'd love you to get those weekly. I put the MP3 on YouTube with a graphic. So that comes out every week. It's another way. Video's big, and all I put is a graphic. Once in a while, I may put out the actual video of recording it, but I've not wanted to do a lot of editing on that. I wanted to make the work a little bit less, and it's so easy just to import that MP3 and put out that YouTube video. So that is another way that's published on, and I can share that on all platforms. All of these I can share on all platforms. And I even create some memes to link back to the article. So that's another idea. I don't do that as much as I'd like, but that's another idea about this for each article. You don't have to put out an article every single week, but I do encourage you to put out something every week, something that will go to your mailing list and to your audience, something every single week. So you stay in content. People will forget you. They will. I've done this for years. They just, are you still doing this? So once they may never open the emails, but they see the name, so they know that you're there. So I also republish the article as a LinkedIn article. Now this one, it's easy to do. Cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste as a LinkedIn article. Again, it's the same, pretty much the same material. Some people say, oh, it needs to be different. I don't know that it needs to be that different. You can tweak a couple things, but there are a couple different things in it, but not a lot. So, and again, pictures, get your pictures done. And there's a lot of free pictures that you can access online, but also you got a camera in your phone. You can use a lot of that and get that down. So, and since getting my system down, it doesn't take me a huge amount of time, and my name and content shows up very, very often. And realize that there are 1 billion hours of YouTube content watched daily. Well, I want to at least have a greater chance of being seen. YouTube, they don't promote everything. It's very, in fact, the algorithms of everything has pretty much changed in how they are they promoting on social media. But at least you have it on your channel and on your site, and people see, oh, wow, you've got, this number of episodes out. Oh, this sounds interesting. And they'll listen to your podcast actually just on YouTube, because they'll put the YouTube up and just listen to it that way. So there are a number of different ways people can actually listen to your episode or get your content. So kind of a last point, we've covered our main 3 points here that I wanted to in why repurpose, what is the lifespan of your content, and how to repurpose. But I'm going to talk just briefly about a social media scheduler. And it's one of the essential online tools that I've used for a number of years. And it is a social media scheduler. I use one called Buffer. It's easily accessible. You can find it, buffer.com, anywhere online. But there are others, HubSpot and others. But I have a virtual assistant, a VA, that can then post the memes that I create for courses, for products, for webinars, and other events, all on my main platforms multiple times a day. I can put it on my scheduler, and she does it. So it's done. I check in on it once in a while, but it is done. I have to plan, but it's done. Then I know I'm freed up from that. But what I suggest is that you start very, very small. Do it yourself. Get a social media scheduler and do it yourself first before assigning the job. You will learn what is going to work and what is easiest. What I have learned is what will be easiest for my VA and how to almost eliminate mistakes, because especially if you are working with someone that's from another country, which I am, they have a little different framework, and they're very good. They're very regular. Very, very regular. But you want to make sure that it's pretty bulletproof on mistakes. So make sure that you do it yourself first. In one of my courses, A New Way of Doing Business, if you want to get there, it's not bonus time right now, but hey, you can get that course. It's a great course. It's a course actually that I put together after so many years of creating a system for my own business, and a new way of doing business.com. But I do provide a social media scheduler there that will give you a launching point for this. And it's the same one, exactly the same one I use for my social media scheduler, and it's editable. So I do provide that. So even if you start with a few basic memes, it's not too early to get used to scheduling them very, very often. And something I say very often is, if you never start, you will never finish. So don't be afraid of creating content. And when I look back at some of my articles, I laugh, just like looking at some of the old photos that I had of myself from the 70s. Yes. But I was doing it. I was writing, even if they were just short little articles. And they were much briefer, believe me, much briefer. But I still developed my own list and my own following, and I encourage you to do the same in demonstrating your uniqueness and the value that you bring to the world. And I know you can do it. So I hope that's encouraged you in many ways this week in working efficiently, but also with repurposing your content. If you are not creating content, hey, there's no time like the present to start now. So now next week, We have the time with Greg and I are together, making holidays fun, not stressful. And a lot of that is in the planning and in the mindset. And I tell you, it's a very important topic as we approach holidays, and we will have fun. Definitely, we have fun with that topic. So make sure you click in next week and listen, subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends. And I love reviews. So I would love it if you went ahead and did that. So it's been wonderful to be with you today. You can reach me anytime at womenathalftime.com or goalsforyourlife.com. And Deborah Johnson here, and I will look forward to being with you next time. So bye for now. Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson, signing off.